This is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert, and welcome back to my podcast, The Morning Mood. We are back again for our monthly session with Steve on the math behind the magic. And this month, we're talking about the resale market. And that stuff is on fire right now, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it's one of the things resale, rental, recommerce, all of it is just sort of disrupting traditional retail channels. So super top of mind and probably only getting more so as we go forward.
Yeah. So I was telling you, I just read a couple articles about this already where it's almost become like a badge of honor. Not almost, it is. It's a badge of honor to say, hey, I got this amazing designer handbag at the thrift store, or I found it at a yard sale, or, I bought it at a resale platform. There's lots of those out there. I'm a big fan of the RealReal, by the way. But so it's become kind of a badge of honor to say that you bought a secondhand bag. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing and what's really a problem for traditional retailers is you used to whisper that. Now you almost look dumb if you paid full price. Like, wow, there's so many better ways to get that $1,500 Gucci handbag and you actually paid full price. So,
Yeah,
you used to not say you bought something at Target and then it became fashionable to do it. 5, 10 years ago, you definitely didn't say, "Oh, I bought something thrifting." Now you
yeah.
sit on the rooftops because you look like a genius that you found a bargain.
You found a bargain. I'm a huge fan. I grew up thrifting. I think I've mentioned before in some of my podcasts, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. So Dollar General, thrift stores, buying things. They used to have this thing, the seconds racks, actually in the retail stores back in the day,
Yep.
where you could buy something where you just needed to fix the zipper or put a button back on it. So I spent, all my life kind of thrifting. So I'm excited to see that it's becoming a bigger and better business out there. But how is this impacting retail? Because retail, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's how they make their money is selling brand new. So
Yes,
what do you think is going to happen here?
I think there's a whole slew of problems. I think for retailers, the game used to be, you could drive increases two ways. Either the customer spent more and you kept your market share, or you took market share from competitors. Cool. And
Yeah.
definitely market's not growing now. Consumer spending flat if we're lucky. Definitely feeling pressure on discretionary spending like apparel and accessories because everything else costs so
Yes.
goddamn much. So
Yeah.
now you're left saying, okay, well, I got to take market share, which gets increasingly hard when there are all these new avenues for share of wallet. Resale is one of them. Rental is becoming a huge one.
Yes.
Brands selling used product themselves is becoming a huge
Yes.
one. Like everywhere you turn around, the customer has alternatives. And I think what they're increasingly doing is looking at it and saying, how many times can I use this thing? If it's a pair of black shoes or it's a sort of timeless handbag that's a staple in your wardrobe, maybe you justify buying it new. If it's a dress that you can wear twice, there's this whole concept of cost per use that's floating around. And
Oh,
a
yeah.
$1,000 dress that you can wear 2 or 3 times doesn't feel real good. A black
No.
handbag you got for 20 years, maybe fine. So, it's a dollars and cents thing. It's definitely a play with a younger customer who's looking at it from cost conscious, environmental, all these sort of things that are likely to gain traction as more and more young customers come into the ecosystem and fewer people late in their lives are shopping. It's just becoming how they shop. And that's a bigger and bigger problem. I mean, I look at what my 25-year-old daughter does. It's everything we've just talked about and very, very little of buying something new. And
Yeah.
the whole rental thing is fascinating.
It's super fascinating, and it makes sense because and it depends on how so a couple of things I wanna touch on. One, as a culture, and I don't think it's specific to all culture, I feel like I see this worldwide. You and I talked a little bit previously about an article I read about a month or so ago, just about how fashions changed, comments about some, that everybody looks the same, right? No, the sense of personal style has gone. We don't dress up as much as we used to. It's become acceptable to go to the grocery store in your pajamas.
Yep.
So having a bespoke wardrobe is not what it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's old is new, vintage is cool. And
Yep.
partly because it's a throwback, and partly because you're not going to walk into a party and have three other people wearing the same thing. Uh,
wearing the same black tights and a white t-shirt
yeah,
or blue jeans and a white t-shirt. I mean, gag me if I see one more blue jeans and white t-shirt. Yeah, so a little bit we've lost, I see from a culture perspective or just from my perspective, we've lost a lot of having a big wardrobe because you're wearing it all the time. I'm sure COVID had a lot to do with this because people aren't going to the office as much anymore, so they're not seen. So people's buying habits have changed, right? They're not as willing to lay down $2,000 for a dress that they're probably, like you said, only gonna get 1 or 2 opportunities to wear it.
yeah. If you think about it, the formal wear used to be for a couple of things. It was events. It
Yes.
was professional. The
Yes.
professional is probably 50+% gone. Meaning
Oh, at
I
least.
work from home, and now when I go into the office, you talk about, wearing sweats to the grocery store, pajamas. A lot of office environments that at their best are what casual Friday used to be. And
Oh,
I think
all the
if
time.
I think enough companies are happy to have you come in that they're not about to criticize the attire you're wearing. So, I
Right.
think it's just at every angle this resonates with consumers. I think it's also a rejection of the Sheen and Timu that's going to fill up landfills faster than we can imagine. And it's this sort of reusing things and keeping them out of a landfill. But the flip side to it is also it's an avenue as you cycle through things to get rid of them, meaning
Yeah,
not just get rid of them, monetize them.
yeah.
The
I have
Poshmark,
sold
yeah,
so many handbags. I
Poshmark,
have
Poshmark, Mercari, RealReal. I mean, there's everything from bargain basement to true designer with, verification of authenticity in the process and all that. These platforms are legit and they take a cut and it's customer to customer. I show the picture of my exact item so you know what you're getting. I mean, it is
it's legit.
yeah, it's really hard to knock it. And the other one that I think is I don't know where it goes because I thought I understood it for a while and then it was really wrong. I mean, you and I lived through the Stitch Fix Trunk Club idea, which was this push model, and all these stylists would know what you need better than you do. Okay, those Trunk Club is gone, and Stitch Fix looks like it's not going to make it unless AI can
Mm.
save it. Um, Taking its place though is this rental thing, and that used to be rent the runway. You need a gown for an event, great, you rent a dress. It's morphed now into something way more dynamic, which is the old Netflix DVD model where, my daughter's been a fan of this for 4 years now. Nuuly, Rent the Runway got into it because of Nuuly, where it's a subscription model. You get 6 garments a month for a flat
Yeah,
fee of 85 or $90. At the end of the month, you send them back.
yeah,
Ask a young person why they like that model. The answer is for most of us too, I think the thrill is the first time or two you wear it.
yep,
Um, it also lets you wear things to an event or for a few weeks that you would never wear, and then I give it back and I get 6 more. And if you just said my clothing budget is $100 a month, wow, you're going to go a whole lot further in terms of showing up to events with a fresh new look and something you might not wear. And again, what was your alternative before? You didn't get as much, but you bought it at Macy's or Nordstrom or Kohl's or wherever. Now,
yeah,
and I also think it goes hand in hand. There's a little bit of a rejection of the overflowing closet. I don't need 5,000 things. I'd rather be able to cycle things through. So whether it's lower cost of acquisition thrifting that I then sell, or it's a rental or whatever, they all just have to cost you sleep if you're a traditional retail outlet saying, all I do
yeah,
really is sell you new stuff because that's all I can do. They
because that's all they can do.
cannot get into the
So
space.
yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how this is impacting the retailers because you and I are both big fans of it. Your daughter's really into it. I'm a huge secondhand. And anybody out there who is a designer fan, I love designer shoes and handbags. I love designer everything, but specifically still handbags and shoes. I buy all of my designer handbags and shoes off of secondhand market. And I will tell you, I have bought stuff that is brand spanking new, like still tags on, shoes never been worn,
100%.
probably yeah, somebody bought them, they sat in a box their entire life. So, for $250, I can get a pair of Gucci high heels, that are brand new
Yep.
and fucking loving it. So yes, so from a consumer perspective, and I have also sold a lot of my stuff. I grew out of my Louis
Yep.
at some age, women grow out of their Louis. You gotta get, yeah, I did. I grew out. But anyway, and those Jews keep their value out there, my Louis girls. You can sell them and still get your money back. But anyway, let's talk about how this is working for the retailers because Hermes has already commented on this, right? They're already upset about the resale market of the Birkin bag. So how is this impacting retailers?
Yeah, a brand being upset by what a customer does with their product after they buy it is absurd. Uh,
Right.
why don't you tell me what I should wear with the bag? That's about as
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly, screw you. But there's nothing the brand or the retailer can do. All they can do is
Mm-mm.
hype what they have, which is ideally, if they're good at it, and if they're not, they don't deserve to exist, an elegant
Right.
shopping experience, a high touch customer service, a curated assortment that you might not find other places, something that gives you inspiration or theater to look at and be excited about. Um, that said, those are all nice, except my daughter doesn't give a shit about any of those. She's still buying on RealReal, offer up,
I'll
whatever.
buy it the next
You know,
year.
yeah,
It's okay.
you can't create a good enough experience. All you could do is bring all those into a store and let her shop without any salesperson bothering. Like
Yeah.
this generation does not care about service. In fact, they don't want it. So you take what retailers were traditionally pretty good at and what their point of separation was, especially upscale retailers or brand,
Yep.
whether it be designers or Nordstrom or Saks, this generation not doesn't value it. They reject it. I don't want someone coming up and asking to help me. I hate that if I'm 24. So,
Yeah.
there's really, this is the just demographic shift that is likely to be one of the top 3 or 4 things that ultimately really hampers traditional retail. And I don't know whether that means there's an Armageddon coming and we're all just going to shop online. I think there's a continued thinning of the herd. You look at, Macy's used to be 800 stores. They're now 300. Nordstrom used to be 120. They're down to, I don't know, 85 or 90. Like it's going to be harder and harder to have a relevant store. There's going to be fewer and fewer of them that are a really good experience. And I think the rest are likely to fall by the wayside. Kohl's
Yeah.
1,100 stores cannot be relevant. Like it's just, there are
No, they just
1,100
can't be.
there are not 1,100 locations in this country that need a Kohl's. Um,
Yeah. Not
so
anymore.
yeah, well, go back to pre-internet and maybe you did when there was no
Right.
room
That's
to
what I'm
get to that
saying.
person
Yeah.
in a rural place. Now I don't need to be, if I open a third tier Kohl's, that used to be their equivalent of Neiman Marcus because that's all they had in a small town.
Oh,
Now
that's it.
I shop at Neiman Marcus in her sweats on her couch, and the internet
Yeah.
makes those tertiary stores just painfully irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah. So the resale market, we like I mentioned, Hermes is already complaining about it. They're losing new market share
Yep,
because consumers are opting to buy
yep,
vintage.
yep.
So we're not just talking about resale and used product. There's also this huge resurgence of vintage clothing, of older styles. We're seeing the new styles, new designers are trying to capitalize on that a little bit. I was checking out some new Gucci clogs that are very vintagey looking.
Yep.
Um, but so it's also the vintage look, it's the individuality. People are trying to get more about the individuality. And it's also a price point. Like it's gotten to the point that brand new items, especially with all the stuff that's going on, I think tariffs probably have a lot to go on with this too. Because when you're buying second market, we don't have to worry about our prices going up.
Yep.
But so the retailers, we know there are some designers and retailers that are actually out there trying to embrace the secondhand market. Some of the big designers
Mhm.
are actually selling used product on their websites. So do you think that they're going to have to adopt this in order to survive?
I don't I think everyone's gonna take a different approach. Designers aren't wired like normal humans. They're not motivated by the same things. They're all about image and all that. So they may not, as a total group, be able to get their hands around the idea of selling used garments. Call them pre-loved, call them pre-owned, call them whatever you want. They're clothes that someone else has worn.
Yep.
It started really from a environmental standpoint. It was like the Patagonias and the
Talk
Levi's of
about
the
this.
world that put around rock.
Yes.
What they realized and why it might ultimately make sense for the designers is it serves 2 functions. First of all, it's a loyalty play. You can sell your Patagonia sweatshirt back to Patagonia. They will give you a credit for it and they will turn around and sell it. So to the person who buys it at a discount, the hope is that it's a new young customer and that's their gateway into the brand. And
Uh,
wouldn't have paid $80 for it, but they paid 40 and now they're a loyal Patagonia customer. For you who gave them the sweatshirt back, they don't give you cash. They give you store credit, brand credit.
right.
It is
Exactly.
an
Yeah.
incredible loyalty function. So as they are
Oh, yeah.
moving towards every brand is trying to move more and more towards selling directly to consumers, this is a
Yep.
great way to get their hooks in a little deeper, which is hey, give me that. I'll give you a store credit. Give me, all geared towards
Ac
you shopping on the Patagonia site and getting you off of whatever site or store you were buying it from. So I don't know whether designers will do it. It's a messy, ugly business. You are selling one piece at a time, which no website in this world is equipped to do, other than sort of the Poshmarks or the Mercaris, where I get to create a box with my posting. You know, a brand site is not designed to say, I've got 10 of these sweatshirts and they're all in different qualities. I need to
Yeah,
run
they're all different quality.
the
Yeah,
real.
the
And if it's bad, if it's true high end, I need to show you what the flaw is on that specific bag. People like the RealReal are good at that, but you're trading at a price point that most people don't. So it's operationally messy. It's to the realities of monetizing the sell process are messy. It's just it's messy. And it's
it's
one that a lot
messy.
of people, Nordstrom toyed with trying to get into it in their Manhattan store. They walked away from it right away. Um, to do it at any scale, you're chasing someone else whose business was able to do something you're not. And generally you're going to distract your own efforts on what you do well in an effort to try to be, third best to something.
Try to do this to try this market share.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, we've been focused mostly on, the luxury brands, luxury designers that end up in Poshmark, Macari, and all these other sort of resale platforms. But you bring up a very interesting point in that the outdoor market has been playing in this game for a little bit. REI, you mentioned Patagonia, with the camping gear, right? The REIs, I think they call it the garage, right? Which is
Correct.
selling gently used
Yeah.
camping equipment or selling off their rental fleet of equipment,
Yep. Yep.
which is kind of where it started. But it's created this whole secondary market for camping equipment, which makes sense, right? It's another very similar to luxury in that you may buy something and only use it a couple of times. Um,
Yeah, and you think about it for vertical retailers, it makes a lot of sense. So the Patagonias and the REIs, I genuinely believe didn't start it out of a monetary reason. They started out of an environmental one. God love them.
yes.
Great.
Yep.
Reality is, if you're a brand, if you're Patagonia, um, and I return something, I don't like it, the zipper's a little off, whatever. I own it. It's my brand. I don't have a vendor I can send it back to.
Back to,
I'm
yeah.
Nordstrom and I take back a defective Patagonia sweatshirt, I send it back to Patagonia. The
Yeah.
brand does not have that choice. So now
Yep.
they can either throw it in the garbage or they can try to monetize it at a discount and enjoy all the benefits we just talked about. So
Yeah.
it's not illogical. And you think about what REI sells, half of it's their own product. So it made a
Yeah.
lot of
Most
sense.
of the REI is
REI
now their own product. Yeah.
whiteboarding profitability session said, hang on, we're eating all this stuff that's our own brand. What if we try to do something with it? And that was probably the genesis of all of this. And, you never know why it starts, but boy, it sure got traction once it got going. You go into any REI now, and there's a rack of, they do huge garage sales. They
Yeah. The garage
offer,
sales.
they've
Yeah.
got secondhand stuff for sale.
Yeah, they do. And it's interesting because, the one thing we originally started talking about this sort of like the monetary perspective and how this impacts retailers. We talked about loyalty, right? And now there's a customer loyalty piece of it. But there is also this big environmental impact. I'm not a huge, I mean, I care about the environment, but it's not my platform. So I don't talk about the environment a whole lot.
Yeah,
But there is a big environmental aspect of it, and I do feel better knowing that I'm using something that would otherwise probably have ended up in the garbage. Probably not, but I like to think that way.
yeah,
Because no one's putting a $3,000 handbag in the garbage ever.
probably.
Um, well, maybe somebody. If you know where there's somebody doing that, please tell me.
Tell you where the dumpster is.
I'll meet you there.
Uh, no, you're right. And I think the younger generation is very split. They're completely
Yeah,
enamored with this Sheen and Temu. I can have anything I want for $7. And then they're
and it
also
looks
seeing,
like something that it's not. Yeah,
yeah, but the bigger downside is the Instagram and TikTok posts of what landfills are looking like and how fast Sheen and Temu product end up there. There's all these studies of how long the average garment ends up there. Disposable fast fashion ends up there like 5 times as quickly because it's shitty product. Of course it's going to, but
you wash it, it
I know.
shrinks, it gets funny shapes to it.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't.
I'd rather
But
have I'd rather have a 5-year-old quality made garment than a brand new Sheen t-shirt.
any day of the week,
Yep.
I am in the same. I would rather spend $30 on a t-shirt and have that t-shirt for 6 years than $5 on a t-shirt and wearing it for 6 months.
Yeah, I think what's happening is this customer will graduate out of those price points faster.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
all get drawn like, bugs to a bright light with this price point thing. And then you realize what you're getting. And the minute you've got more than $7 to spend on a t-shirt, like, okay, what's next? So,
Yeah.
you know,
What can I do
and
better?
Timo was not a, I acquire young customers and stay with them on their journey. I think you're stuck
No.
in this. By the time they age out at, 20 or soon after, you've lost them. You need to find the next 13-year-old.
Yeah, you gotta find the net. Yeah, you get somebody who's not on an allowance. Once they
Correct.
finally
Correct.
start making their own money,
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
they make it happen.
Yeah.
So what do you predict's gonna happen? What's your prediction on the whole resale and rental market? Do you think that we'll get at some point where that's the majority of the commerce that's happening?
I don't know. I'm definitely not smart enough to have a crystal ball on where it's headed. I think there have been a lot of things that you looked at and you could question the staying power of it, like Stitch Fix. That was a different model that was doing a ton of business for a long time. And I think everyone,
I think COVID really put the nail in the coffin
I
on
don't know. It assumed that someone else knew what you wanted better than you did. And there's only a finite number of really lazy shoppers out there. And most of them are men. So it doesn't work.
I
What I
don't know. I know a lot of women who hate shopping.
That's fine, except the Stitch Fix stylist didn't often put stuff in your trunk that you wanted. So, that model
Ah,
that model
got it.
appears to be
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah.
I don't know where this goes. There's nothing in this though that you look at it and say this is a flash in the pan. You could envision there being some sort of cyclical full cycle around thrifting. I don't know. The concept though of not buying full price new goods will continue to evolve. 5 years ago, I'd never heard of Nuuly. Rent the Runway rented one thing at a time. Now they have a subscription model. Poshmark,
Yeah.
where we're just getting started. There will be
Yep.
50 new entrants with 10 new models over the next 10 years. We know that. Most of them will be bad ideas that won't stick, but there will be something if we sat here 5 or 8 years from now and went, huh, remember when we talked back in 2025? Sure didn't see that coming. Right.
Yeah.
What that isn't going to be is a big store selling me new stuff. I know it's going to be something different. It's some hybrid of all of these. You read the article one day and go, holy shit, that's really, I mean, the first time I heard about Nuuly, I'm like, oh, there's some there. It's owned by Urban
Yeah.
Outfitters. Smart as hell. They leverage all the Urban Outfitters brands along with all the other ones in their, corporate portfolio. I mean, you look at it and you're like, how do you not embrace that if you're 20 years old and trying to look cool, showing up to things every once in a while,
Yeah, you're trying to go out to parties and look like you've got your act together. No, it totally makes sense. I wish they had it when I was younger. I mean,
Totally.
we had thrift stores.
Yep.
That's how we did it, and we shared clothes. Everybody's clothes, everybody owned everything if you were the same size.
Yep.
But yeah, so things have really changed. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Every 10 or 15 years or so, we all start crying that we think that the designer brands are finally going to die, right? Was it 20 years ago we thought Gucci and like nobody cared anymore and
Yep.
they were all going to be done and we weren't going to do designer anymore and they're still here. So, it'll be interesting to see how this continues to evolve, but I don't think we're ever going to get rid of designer.
Nope.
I don't think we're ever going to get rid of luxury,
I don't
but
think
I
we're going to
think
get rid of stores. I mean,
no.
the death of retail and physical retail has been sung for decades.
Oh, we've been
You know,
crying for that forever.
but I think data would indicate that there is a continued consolidation coming. Whether or not Saks and Neiman's makes it remains to be seen. They're in a lot of trouble now. So does
They
that
are.
Nordstrom stays as the luxury player? Maybe so. Macy's definitely a spot in the middle. There may be, this is like the electronics. If you go back to the 80s, there was Best Buy and Good Guys and Circuit City.
Newegg
Now
and
there's
all those guys,
there's
Crutchfields.
absolutely room for one or two, but not for five. I think that's
Yeah,
what we're going to see with physical retail and omni-channel retail and these other players who sit out there in the ethernet just grabbing market share. You wonder, where does the volume go when you close that B and C mall? Probably goes to one of these things we're talking about. So I don't think it's the death of retail. I think it's the continued evolution that presents just huge challenges for traditional brick and mortar or omni-channel or even pure e-commerce players who just sell
yeah,
their stuff. These are just compelling alternatives that more and more people are finding every day.
they're gonna have to embrace it. Excellent. All right, Steve, thank you for our monthly math behind the magic and what the hell's going on with retail. A quick peek into the resale market and the rental market and everything that is happening out there in e-commerce. It's not just in luxury; it's in camping goods. It's in middle of the market. It's not designer play anymore. It's everywhere. Yep.
All right.
Steve, thank you. And we will be back next month with another peek into what is the math behind the magic. Thank you.
Thanks, Tip.